You can absolutely lower your cholesterol without taking a statin. How do I know this? Because I just did it. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how I did it in just 3 months. And also I'm going to give you some tips on how to talk to your doctor when he wants to offer you a statin. You know the old familiar story. You go to the doctor orders some blood tests to be done, or a blood panel as some people call it. The results come back and there is a red flag that your doctor immediately notices, and that is that your cholesterol is high. Particularly they are looking at the LDL, what they have for some unknown reason always called bad cholesterol. And as soon as the doctor sees that your LDL is up, the knee-jerk reaction is to get their prescription pad and to write you a script for a statin, which is the great cholesterol-lowering drug that the pharmaceuticals companies sell. Not only do they sell it, it is the world's top-selling drug and has been for about 15 years now. In fact, the statin market is now worth about $16 billion US every single year, and that figure is increasing exponentially every year. This is the money that the drug companies, the big pharma companies, are making out of this hideous and in so many cases totally unneeded drug. Did you know that statins have a list of side effects, and many of them quite serious potentially? And that list would be as long as your arm. I bet when your doctor prescribed you a statin, they never even mention the side effects unless you asked. And then you probably got a brush-off answer saying, oh, look, in very extreme cases, people might get a little bit of muscle ache, but it's very rare and nothing to worry about. You'll get that story told over and over again. And yet if you do your own research, as you really should, you will find that there is a list of side effects for statins as long as your arm. Let me tell you a little bit of my story. I've been on carnivore diet now for 1 year. Just coming up in next week will be my 12-month, 1-year carniversary on the carnivore diet. And I started with a number of figures. I always think it's good when you're starting carnivore to go and get your blood test done and to keep those figures. Ask your doctor for a printout of it and take it home so you've got it for reference, because this is going to be your starting point on carnivore. Now, when I started carnivore, I've got the figures here. My HDL at the time was 1.2. I'm talking metric figures here. We're in Australia. I'll put the US equivalent on the screen. My LDL was 3.6 and my total cholesterol was 5.9. After 6 months on carnivore, which is meant to fix everything, my HDL was up slightly, 1.7, up from 1.2, so that's good because you want your HDL up. My LDL skyrocketed from 3.6 right up to 10.1. And my total cholesterol went from 5.9 right up to 12.3. So if you're a doctor and you're looking at those numbers, you'd say, hey, Houston, we have a problem, which is exactly what my doctor did, and sent me to a gynecologist who read me the riot act and immediately wrote out a script for statins, which I never took. I'll tell you what I did instead. I went away determined to find out every possible way I could discover that you could lower your LDL without taking a statin. And to my very great surprise, there was quite a number of options that you could look at in lowering your cholesterol without taking a statin. Funny that the doctors don't mention these, because they are all to do with both diet and lifestyle. Now, I'll tell you what changes I made in just a moment. Before I do that, I wanted to tell you my results in just 3 months at doing my own research and taking steps that I initiated myself to lower my cholesterol. After 3 months, my HDL was 1.7, still very good. My LDL had dropped to 4.0, down from 10.1. That's a drop of about 60%. in the space of just 3 months. And my total cholesterol dropped from 12 to 6, a drop of 50%, if my math is correct, and I think it is. So I would have to tell you that I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm pretty pleased with that. And I think that any doctor thinking that you were taking statins and you came back with those numbers, you would be pretty impressed, and the doctor would be pretty impressed. But the difference is you've done it without taking their statins. Now let me tell you what I did to lower my cholesterol. The first thing I did, and the first thing anyone should do when they're getting any sort of a report or a prescription from their doctor, is research. You need to get every book you can and listen to every YouTube movie you can, because today we've got, at the click of a mouse button, more information than previous generations ever had in their lifetime. We've got access to quality research, all the scientific studies, all the doctors, professors, research scientists, they're all there on YouTube, and you can get books. If you've been prescribed something, if you've told your cholesterol was high like I did, I started reading books. I read this one here, the Great Cholesterol Con. It's written by Malcolm Kenrick. A great book if cholesterol is your problem, as it was mine, or the doctor told me it was my problem. I read that book. There's many others I read that you could follow up on also. But do your own research. You've been told you got diabetes, read up on diabetes. You got told you got heart disease, then read up on heart disease. Whatever the disease is, whatever name the doctor has given you, read up on it, do your research, and get qualified to understand more. Because the more you know, the better off you're going to be. It'll take time, it'll take effort. I'm not saying it won't, but it's certainly worth it, and you've got to start there. You can't bypass that step and expect great results. The second thing I've noted down is that I did not change my diet. You see, after I started carnivore, my LDL got a lot worse, which in turn made my total cholesterol a lot worse. Now, this is pretty common on the carnivore diet. People start the carnivore, they get great improvements in all of their blood work, but their LDL often goes up. Now, why this happens, I'm not qualified to answer that, but you could certainly research that topic. But it often goes up, and yet if you look at all your other blood work, it's often very good. So if your doctor's going to pinpoint LDL, focus on your blood work as a total picture and not just one marker. Because when I started carnivore, my LDL was 3.6. After just 3 months, it was 10.1. Now, that's quite an increase in 3 months. But then, as I've told you, in the last 3 months, I brought it down to 4 with a 60% drop. But I didn't change my diet. I kept eating carnivore. I kept eating egg and bacon for breakfast and meat for my second meal. I kept up with my intermittent fasting, everything that I was doing before. Diet-wise, I continued to do. So the changes were not due to stopping the carnivore diet. I want you to hear that. These changes happened while I remained on the full carnivore diet. Okay, the third thing I did was that I added some supplements, and this was as a result of my reading and research and also talking to my own doctor. I added 3 supplements in particular. First of all, I added vitamin D, because vitamin D, we get it from sunlight, but it has so many wonderful benefits in our life if our vitamin D level is up to where it should be. Now, my vitamin D level was down. It was considerably down, and my doctor had suggested that I should really try and get that up. So I did take some supplements on vitamin D. Now, I haven't got the numbers in front of me, but my numbers went from being quite deficient in vitamin D to right up in the high end of the acceptable range. And I did that mainly through taking supplements. The second supplement I took as a result of the reading I was doing was omega-3. Now, you can get omega-3 in sardines, and I've tried to also add sardines to my diet. You know, there's the fatty tin fish that's full of omega-3. My trouble is I really struggle with sardines. I just don't like them, but I persevered and I've eaten them more than I ever have. But I've also added the omega-3 capsules, and that has been the second supplement. But the biggest change to my supplements were an addition of a supplement called Berberine. Now, I started taking Berberine as a result of the research that I was doing and books I was reading and people I was listening to, medical scientists on YouTube. Berberine is a plant-based supplement and been used by the Chinese, I believe, for thousands of years for a number of benefits. But the benefits of berberine are quite long, and I'll have to refer to my notes here to tell you, but let me just look at this. Berberine will control your sugar levels. Now, if you're diabetic or you've got concerns about diabetes, that is huge. It does help you control your blood glucose content and also improves your insulin sensitivity. These are big issues for many people. It also directly lowers cholesterol. In particular, it lowers LDL and it can increase your HDL, and it will lower your triglycerides. These are all powerful things and exactly the topic of this video today. It aids in fat loss. Because it's controlling your blood sugar and the other benefits you're getting, it controls your fat loss and reduces your metabolism. These are big things if you're trying to lose weight. It improves your gut health. It reduces inflammation, another major issue in health today. So many health issues start with inflammation. And one more benefit of berberine is that it improves your liver health. And how important is your liver? One of the most important organs in your body, and so important that we care for it, that we don't allow it to get fatty like I did, but I've been able to reverse that. So these are some of the benefits of berberine, and I started taking berberine. So they were the supplements that I added to my carnivore diet. Now, the fourth thing I did was that I changed my lifestyle in a number of ways. Now, I had already made changes to my lifestyle in that I was walking more. I was walking a lot more, doing walking every day. I was also doing rebounder sessions once a day, just 10 minutes or so in the mornings, 10 minutes on the rebounder. And then I also was starting to lift weights, and I got myself a cheap set of weights and I was lifting weights in the mornings. Now, since then, that's in the early stages of carnivore, I did those things. But in the last 3 months, when my cholesterol has dropped, there were some things that I added to my lifestyle. And now I'll quickly run through these with you. I joined a gym. Yes, I joined a gym. I joined gyms years ago, but I had resisted the temptation during carnivore to join the gym. But just to increase my my resistance training mainly, I joined a gym, and I've been doing regular workouts 3 to 4 times a week at the gym. So that was the first lifestyle change that I added in the last 3 months. The second one was that I started the practice of earthing. Now, I did a whole video on this, on the results of earthing for a month. That is walking bare feet on the grass, particularly wet grass, and the earth has a negative electrical charge and it will counteract the electrical charge in your own body. You can measure all of that with a multimeter, but I did a whole video on that. But I started practicing earthing because I heard it just had so many health benefits. The third thing I did, and again I've done a video on this one also, was that I started the practice of cold plunging. I actually invested some dollars and got myself an ice bath and started to do a cold plunge each morning for just 3 or 4 minutes in the cold water. Now, this has enormous benefits for circulation and inflammation again, and so many other health benefits. What happens when you get in the cold water is that all your blood vessels, some 250,000 kilometers of them, automatically constrict when you get in the cold water. You know how you go when you're cold, getting the cold, that's them constricting, and then when they release, it releases a fresh flow of blood, and so many benefits for that. So I added the cold practice. But then just in the last couple of weeks, I've started adding some sauna treatment to my daily routine. So I now have that hot-cold hot-cold balance where I can go into the sauna for 30 minutes and then get straight out of the sauna while I'm dripping wet with sweat, and then get into the ice bath immediately and get that hot-cold therapy. And look, if I've just started to research sauna treatment, and particularly its power when you add it to cold therapy. But sauna has so many benefits, particularly cardiovascular health, which is a huge issue for me, and I know it is for many other people. So look, that's my story. That's my experience. Now, I'm not saying you do this and you will get the same result. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a sports scientist. All I can do is to tell you, hey, look, this is what I did and this is the result that I got. So I think there's something in this. But look, do your own research and have a look at this. Whatever the doctor tells you you've got, whatever drug you're being prescribed, do your own research and ask some questions about it. Now, I wanted to finish up today by talking about what you can say to your doctor when they're prescribing you a drug that you're uneasy about. The first question you should ask the doctor when the doctor's prescribing any drug, be it a statin or something else, is to ask them two questions. One is, what is the benefit I'm going to receive from taking this medication? What's the benefit that I can expect to receive? And secondly, what are the risks associated with this medication? So you want a benefit risk analysis, and your doctor should be able to give you that clearly and accurately and precisely. So ask your doctor, what's the benefit? What's the risk? The second conversation I would have with your doctor would be something like this. If the doctor is prescribing you a statin, for instance, ask your doctor, is there a way that I could achieve the same result by making adjustments to my diet and lifestyle? Now, I don't care whether it's a statin or it's like I did a couple of years back. I had a doctor for 12 months, had me on blood pressure tablets, which made no good at all. And I found out later the doctor could have simply talked to me about my weight and my lifestyle to lower my blood pressure naturally without any of the confounded medication. Look, ask your doctor, is there another way to do this? Can you do it with diet and lifestyle? And if your doctor is not prepared to have that conversation, friend, it's time to get a new doctor. Yes, do that. Now, look, so many doctors are stuck in the past. They're stuck in with a system that they learnt years ago in medical school that was already at that time proven wrong, and yet it continued to be taught, and I believe it's still being taught today. So many of these old models. Look, get Ken Berry's book, Lies My Doctor Told Me, and read up on some of these. It is so important. It is your health at stake. It is your life at stake. Ask these questions. Find an alternative route. If you need to change doctors, I am so encouraged today that there are so many doctors now coming on board with prescribing lifestyle. My own doctor, Dr. Avi Charlton, is a wonderful lifestyle doctor as well as a great GP. And if you're in Melbourne and you can't find a lifestyle doctor, then look up Dr. Avi. She's at 3 locations across Melbourne. I'll leave a link to her contact details in the description. But look, thank you for watching today. Look, you've really got to do something about this. If you missed my recent video where I talked about my heart issues and my CAC score results and what I'm doing to lower my risk of a heart attack, I will leave the I will leave the link above. But look, please join our Facebook group, the Carnivore Pensioner. I will see you on the next video, and until then, keep telling your story.